welcome back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and these are 10 commander cards that everyone forgot about. And what I mean by that is, first of all, these are actual commander cards, right? I mean, not just any card that could get played in commander, cards that were printed in actual commander sets. And why I think that's significant is because obviously the cards that were printed in commander sets were specifically meant to be played in commander. And these are all cards that people just never play. I never see them. I saw them a little bit when I first started playing in the format many years ago, but never see them anymore. And they're all very playable in the format, I think. So I'm going to start off with a couple honorable mentions: Wave of Vitriol and From the Ashes. So the reason these are honorable mentions is because they're land destruction. However, they're selective land destruction, and they're really not that bad. So From the Ashes, 3 and up red, sorcery. Destroy all non-basic lands. For each land destroyed this way, its controller may search their library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle. So only destroys the non-basic lands. You do get to replace them. This is just really, really good in any deck where you have not a lot of colors. I guess I'm sort of biased towards it a little bit because I tend to play less colors. It's really only going to hurt like the 4 and 5 color decks. Similarly, Wave of Vitriol. This card just has an incredibly powerful effect. 5 green, sorcery. Each player sacrifices all artifacts, enchantments, and non-basic lands they control. For each land sacrificed this way, its controller may search the library for a basic land card and put it onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. So similar effect where it's getting rid of those non-basic lands, but then on top of that, you're getting rid of the artifacts and enchantments. I remember the first time I saw this cast in a game, right when I first started playing Commander. Man, I couldn't believe, it doesn't get too much more impactful than this, right, on a single card in the game. These are land destruction, though, which a lot of people don't like, so I thought I would give them an honorable mention. Some play groups will be okay with these cards, some won't, so there they are if you want to give them a try. But getting to the list, coming in at number 10, Crescendo of War, 3 and a white enchantment. At the beginning of each upkeep, put a strife counter on Crescendo of War. Attacking creatures get +1/+0 for each strife counter on Crescendo of War. Blocking creatures you control get +1/+0 for each strife counter on Crescendo of War. So this was printed in the original Commander set. I never see it. Most of the cards on this list have also never been reprinted because I guess they just don't really get played much. This card, I think, actually got quite a bit better. So at the beginning of each upkeep, right? So this is going to get those strife counters on it really, really quickly. In fact, by the time you get around to your next turn, attacking creatures are going to get +4/+0. That's pretty fantastic. And then only your blocking creatures get the boost to this as well. So there's the advantage for you, right? But more so, this encourages attacking. And why I think this card's gotten a lot better is because aggro themes have sort of slipped away a little, right? So if you're in that aggro theme, this card gets a lot better because your opponents probably aren't going to have a lot of attacking creatures. So it's going to be almost all upside for you. I think this card should get played a lot more. Coming in at number 9, Illusionist Gambit, 2 blue, instant. Cast Illusionist Gambit only during the declare blocker step on an opponent's turn. Remove all attacking creatures from combat and untap them. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Each of those creatures attacks that combat if able. They can't attack you or planeswalkers. You control that combat. I've seen this cast in a commander game a couple of times. I think it's a fun, interesting card in a commander game. It definitely suits the format, I think. What's going to happen is you're going to wait till your opponent attacks, and then after blockers are declared, you're going to basically just reset the combat, right? Everything is going to go back to square one. They're going to untap all the creatures they attacked with, and then they're going to have to attack with them all again, but this time they can't attack you, right? So it sort of becomes a goad effect in a way. Your opponent still has to attack with all those creatures. They can't attack you with them. It can be a real lifesaver sometimes. It can be just an absolute blowout in certain situations, obviously. Pretty good card. Coming in at number 8, Eye of Doom, 4 mana artifact. When Eye of Doom enters the battlefield, each player chooses a non-land permanent and puts a Doom counter on it. And then you can pay 2 and tap, sacrifice Eye of Doom, destroy each permanent with a Doom counter on it. I really like this card, and I just wish they would have worded it a little bit differently. Obviously, if they would have worded it, everyone puts a Doom counter on something you don't control, would have been a lot better. You really have to wait for the right time to play this, and it works really good in those situations because if you play this when everyone at the table has that really powerful annoying effect. Like you got one guy with a Ristic Study, one guy with a Smothering Tithe, another guy's got a Vorinclex. This can be a 3-for-1. The problem comes with this card in that your opponents can put a counter, one of your opponents can put something on your thing. You don't have to use it, right? You can just let this sit there. You don't have to actually sacrifice it, destroy each permanent with a doom counter on it. It also is colorless removal, right? So there is that option as well. If you're in that mono black deck that doesn't deal with artifacts very well, or that mono blue deck that doesn't deal with enchantments very well, it is an option. I just really wish they would have worded this a little bit differently. Coming in at number 7, Mystic Barrier, 4 and a white enchantment. When Mystic Barrier enters the battlefield or at the beginning of your upkeep, choose left or right. Each player may attack only the nearest opponent in the last chosen direction and planeswalkers controlled by that opponent. This card just seems great. In any Pillow Fort strategy, it's fantastic because it's limiting the amount of people that can attack you down to just one, and you constantly get to keep switching for whichever, your opponent to your left or your right, whichever is more threatening, you'll switch to the other way, right? So that the one who's threatening can't attack you. If you got that mono green deck that probably is going to play a Craterhoof, or if you got that Edgar Markov deck to your left, then you'll constantly be picking the other direction, so that person can't touch you at all. And if you really get lucky, you have this so that on your other side is an opponent that isn't really planning on attacking at all. They have a different strategy going. So this card can really be good sometimes. Never see it in a Commander game ever. Coming in at number 6, Domineering Will, 3 and a blue instant. Target player gains control of up to 3 target non-attacking creatures until end of turn. Untap those creatures. They block this turn if able. So again, another card that was printed in a Commander set a long time ago. C14, which I guess would have been, almost 8 years ago now. I've only seen it cast in a game a couple of times. Just like with Illusionist Gambit, it can be an absolute bloat sometimes. This doesn't have to be with attacking, so you can use this on yourself. You can use it on your opponents. There's just a lot of different ways you can use this. Typically, how I've seen it used is someone attacks, you gain control of your opponent's creatures because you're getting attacked, and you use them as blockers, and it's just all win-win for you. You don't take damage. A lot of creatures are lost in the trade during combat, so it's just all upside for you. For 4 mana, you're just getting rid of your opponent's creatures, you're saving yourself damage, and also can just be a good card for gaining control of your opponent's creatures, right? You don't have to use this in combat at all. This can just be gain control of up to 3 target non-attacking creatures. So if you do this during your main phase or something, you can gain control of 3 of your opponent's creatures and then sacrifice them all to some effect or something. So it can also be good there. Coming in at number 5, Spoils of Blood, 1 black mana instant. Put an XX black horror creature token onto the battlefield where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. This card, I just can't believe I never see this in a Commander game. I think I've put it in one deck myself. It's one of those cards that it's always going to be good, but it's not really doing anything specific, so I guess there's no reason for you to put it in your deck. I don't know. This just after any board wipe, this is going to be 1 mana, make a 10/10 creature or something, or an 8/8. It's going to be big for sure. If I had this in my hand, I would make sure I had that 1 black mana up. It's particularly good if you're in a very creature-heavy deck, right? If wiping your board is going to be a huge blowout for you, this is a nice little added bonus where, okay, well, at least I get like this 8/8 or this 10/10 horror token in play that I can smash that guy with that keeps casting all the board wipes. Coming in at number 4, Dulcet Sirens, and this is another one that I have mentioned before on my channel, and another one that I can't believe it's never been reprinted, and I never see it get used. 2 and a blue, Siren 1/3. Pay blue and tap. Target creature attacks target opponent this turn if able. And has Morph. I'm not sure why they decided to put Morph on this card. It's a little weird. Nevertheless, it is an advantage to play this card face down until you can flip it over and then use it. Because obviously the tap ability means that you can't use it right away. So you will be forecasting it a little bit, and maybe you don't want to do that. Just pay blue and tap. Target creature attacks target opponent this turn if able. You get to pick who it's attacking, right? So if someone has the Blightsteel Colossus or any big scary creature, you get to choose the opponent that creature is going to be attacking. That seems pretty darn good. Obviously, the wheeling and dealing scenario also works really good here as well, where you can make someone's commander attack. Say they got a Thrasios or something, you make them attack with their commander. They attack an opponent who obviously is going to have a blocker, and that blocker will then kill their Thrasios. So it also can be used in that scenario as well. I just think it's a really great card. I'm surprised it never sees play. Coming in at number 3 is Act of Authority. 1 white, Enchantment. When active authority enters the battlefield, you may exile target artifact or enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exile target artifact or enchantment. If you do, its controller gains control of active authority. So, first of all, when this enters the battlefield, you exile an artifact or enchantment. So 3 mana to exile an artifact or an enchantment is not bad. It's not super great, but it's not bad. I like this because it gives you the option of using it again if you really need to, right? You're going to get the 1 for sure when this enters the battlefield, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, you can just do nothing. You can just leave this there, right? You don't have to use this. It's a May. You can just have it sit on the table for 5, 6, 7 turns. It's just sitting there doing absolutely nothing until your opponent casts that really, really annoying artifact or enchantment that you absolutely have to get off the table, and then you're going to remove it. And I find that this card is particularly good if you're playing the sort of strategy that I play, where I don't play the things that are going to make me a target or the things that are going to make themselves a target. I don't play the Smothering Tides and the Rhystic Studies. Those are the things that are going to get targeted by this, right? So if you want to use that second ability at the beginning of your upkeep, your opponent has a Smothering Tide, you exile it, you trade control, you give this active authority to them, and then, oh, well, now they get to use it and they're going to use it on you. But guess what? You don't have any of those things. So are they going to use it on you, or are they going to use it on the other opponent who has a Rhystic Study, or the other opponent who has some other really powerful or annoying artifact and enchantment? This might be all upside here, where they're not even going to target you with it. Your opponents are just going to trade this around with each other, getting rid of their own artifacts and enchantments. And they're also going to be hesitant to give it back to you, because once they give it back to you, then you get to use it again as well, right? So the person who has all the really fantastic artifacts and enchantments in their deck might just hang on to this if they get it, because they don't want to give it up so that it can be used on them again, right? I really think this card should get used a lot more. And of course, as the added bonus is a permanent, I just put this in my AO deck because it's artifact and enchantment removal that I can get in permanent form, and then also can be blinked. If you're in any scenario where you're blinking, like maybe that Brago deck, you can be blinking this as well. So it also works there. Coming in at number 2 is Crown of Doom, 3 mana artifact. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn. Well, geez, that's not very good. However, you can pay 2 and target player other than Crown of Doom's owner gains control of it. Activate only during your turn. This is a card, again, that in the early days of me playing Commander, I saw all the time. I saw it at least a dozen times in the first few months of me playing the format. It was a fairly new card at the time, so people were aware of it. It has never been reprinted. It seems like a really good card in a Commander game. I mean, obviously you want to get rid of this right away. You probably either want to play this really early in the game when your opponents don't have any creatures, because when they attack you, they'll get +2/+0, or you wait until you have the 5 mana. So you pay 3, then you pay 2 and immediately donate it. And once you donate it, it's not your problem anymore, right? You cannot get this back. Target player other than Crown of Doom's owner gains control of it. So your opponents, once they start tossing this around like a hot potato, will never be able to give it back to you. That seems pretty darn good. You can only activate this ability during your turn, so you can easily just give this to an opponent that you're about to attack. They can't get rid of it because it's not their turn, and then you get to swing in for a huge amount of damage. I should note, though, you will get it back if you kill your opponent, right? So if you run over your opponent with it and then they die, you'll immediately get it back when they die. But of course, then you can just donate to the next opponent who you want to run over. So it actually can be good in that situation as well. I just can't believe I don't see this. I guess it's, again, a situation where not as many aggro decks get played as they used to. So maybe it's that sort of situation. Another added bonus here is your opponents are so badly going to want to get rid of this that they're going to be using their own mana on their turn all the time just so they can donate it to somebody else. I just think this card is all upside. And coming in at number 1 is a card that I just can't believe I never see, is Storm Surge Kraken. 3 blue, Kraken 5/5 with hexproof, and has Lieutenant. And really a lot of the cycle of these cards that has Lieutenant, I don't hardly ever see. It cares about if you control your commander, right? As long as you control your commander, Storm Surge Kraken gets +2/+2 and has whenever this creature becomes blocked, you may draw 2 cards. So if you control your commander, this is a 7/7 with hexproof. That's pretty fantastic. And then if it becomes blocked, you get to draw 2 cards. I mean, this is just immensely huge upside in every single way imaginable. I attack, my opponent can either take 7 damage or I get to draw 2 cards and likely kill one of their creatures. I mean, that's amazing for 5 mana. And then it has the hexproof, of course, which means it's going to be really difficult for your opponent to get it off the table. Probably their best bet is to try and get your commander off the table, because then it'll lose that lieutenant ability. Still has the hexproof though. Extra good in that boggle scenario where maybe you want to be putting auras on your creatures. Could be a great backup if you're in a Voltron strategy where you have a commander that you want to be putting stuff on. This is another great option to be putting those aura and equipments on. Also, of course, it's Kraken, so if you're doing that Leviathan, serpent, Kraken, sea monster sort of tribal, it's just an absolute perfect fit there as well, I think. I just never see this card in games. I'm shocked it doesn't see more play. It seems fantastic in almost every scenario imaginable. But that is it for today. That is 10 commander cards that everyone sort of forgot about. These are all from older commander sets, and none of them have really ever been reprinted. I guess because they just don't really see enough play to warrant being reprinted. I mean, these cards are really old. It's weird to think about how some of these cards that I played with a lot when I first started playing Commander, some of them are like 7, 8 years old now. That is a long time ago. I'm sure there's a lot of newer Commander players out there that have never seen some of these cards. And I would encourage you to go revisit. I was looking through these sets, making these lists. There's a lot more interesting cards as well, right? These Commander sets were made for Commander players, and there's a lot of interesting, fun cards. So I encourage a lot of you newer Commander players that have only been playing for a couple of years, go check out some of these old Commander sets, C11, C12, C13, and see if there's some hidden gems in there for you to throw in your decks as well. But that is it for today, and thanks for tuning in.